Chapter 18. I'm a man now. The next day was really busy, with Jeffrey's treatment and 1,000,001 doctors coming into the room, so I didn't see Samantha at all through the whole morning and afternoon. I was planning to stop by her room and say goodbye, but I got distracted on the way out. I overheard the main guy, Dr. Moses, giving my dad a pretty strong warning as we were getting ready to leave. Listen, Mr. Alper, I've been on and off the phone with your son's pediatrician all morning. I'm concerned about Jeffrey's hepatic function. His ALT, has climbed sharply over the past week, and I want Dr. Puro to keep an eye on your son's blood counts and transminase numbers for the next couple of weeks. If the AST climbs too, we'll need to know about it. Of course, we'll be running our own tests every week here, but liver trouble is nothing to mess around with. And I want to be extremely cautious as long as Jeffrey's on such high doses of 6-MP and methotrexate. I'm sorry, doctor, but my wife is the one who has been handling all the medical stuff so far. Can you explain that? Okay. Hepatic means liver. The liver's job is to filter the blood. When a child is on as many heavy-duty chemotherapy drugs as Jeffrey is, the liver takes a beating. We check the blood levels of certain enzymes periodically in order to make sure that the liver is handling the strain adequately. If the liver begins to sustain damage, the enzyme levels should theoretically give us some warning. Then we have to adjust the patient's meds until we get the chemo regimen in balance with the patient's liver function. Otherwise, there's a risk of liver failure, which can be fatal. That was just peachy. Theoretically, it gives us some warning. Sheesh. So Jeffrey's liver tests aren't so good right now? They're really not great. So what do we have to do? You'll need to bring your son to a lab for blood work 3 days from now. Dr. Puro has all the details. That's routine in a case like this. Just to be on the safe side, keep this in mind for the future. If you think Jeffrey is looking at all yellow in his skin tone or around the eyes, bring him in immediately. Also, as always, if he suddenly spikes a fever over the next few weeks, he will be in need of urgent care. Urgent care? Yes. You'll need to drop everything and get him to the ER, no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing. Got it? It's a little foreshadowing there, too. You guys will see what happens. Yes, doctor. One more thing, Mr. Alper. Don't worry. You have a coordinated team of doctors monitoring this situation very carefully. You have to love it when the doctor lays out all the horrific stuff on you and then tells you not to worry. It's like saying, here's 37 pounds of assorted chocolates. Try not to think about food, though. Or, look, there's Renee Albert in a bikini, but please try to keep your mind on algebraic functions. So you can see why I didn't have time to drop in on my new friend Sam. As we were walking out of the ward with our stuff, I heard some clicking sounds. She was trying out her new drumsticks. I was hoping that I really could give her a lesson next time that I came down with Jeffrey. And thanks to her, I was sure there would be a next time. In the car on the way home, my dad didn't say much until we got clear of the heavy Philadelphia traffic and Jeffrey fell asleep. Then he turned to me and said, Look, I want to thank you for coming down here to support Jeffrey. Maybe I haven't been saying it, but I'm really very proud of you. You're turning into a good man. Wow, a good man. You caught that, correct? Steven's a man now. Quick, somebody tell all the chicks and babes at the school for me. And I've been thinking about this concert thing. I know how much your music means to you, and I also know that you'll be doing this for the right reasons. So even though I really don't think we need the help, you can go ahead with it. I'm not sure I'll be able to go with all the tax work I have to do this month and all, but I'm behind you in your decision. You aren't going to my concert? I'm just not sure, Stephen. I have a lot to get caught up on. And you know these last few weeks before April 15th are crunch time for accountants every year. I'll do my best. My first thought when he said that was, wonderful. Now that I'm a man, my dad can weasel his way out of going to my concerts. What's next? Maybe he'll stop buying food for me or rent out my room? Then, for possibly the first time since all this started, I stopped feeling sorry for myself and thought of all the other people's situations. It could have been worse. I could have been Annette, who had practiced all year for a concert she wouldn't play in. Or Sam, who might be dying all by herself in the hospital while her sister parties it up at college. Or Jeffrey. Speaking of Jeffrey, you should have seen how my mother charged straight to him when we pulled into the driveway. I guess she'd gotten her strength back while we were gone, because she lifted Jeffrey up in a rib-crushing hug until he practically begged her to let him down. I guess I was still in my new, manly, sympathetic mood, because normally I would have been standing around saying, ahem, until my mom noticed me, too. But that day, I just looked at her with a new appreciation. This woman had spent nearly half of her time this year at the hospital with her son, praying for him, watching over him, comforting him, handling all this overwhelming cancer stuff. And suddenly, as she reached out and squeezed my arm, I realized without any shadow of a doubt that she would have done the same for me. Maybe you'll think it's nuts that the brother of a cancer patient would feel lucky, but at that instant, I most surely did. The next 3 weeks of school were absolutely nutty. Annette and Renee both insisted on tutoring me in the subjects I had missed during my 2 days in Philadelphia. I let Renee in my house this time. They also insisted on updating me daily on the progress of the benefit concert, to the point where the details were just too much. The posters are up all over town. We called the newspaper. They said they'll send a reporter to the last rehearsal and the concert. The high school band has already sold 286 tickets. Your brother's school took out a full-page ad in the program. Dexter's Auto Body bought a double-page spread. I was half expecting them to tell me how many light bulbs the high school stage had, what color the bulbs were, how much heat they gave off in kilojoules, and whether that was greater than or less than the total caloric output of the school cafeteria on any given day, with and without the snack line. But I knew they meant well. And in a sense, they were doing all this for me. My teachers and fellow students were all over me, too. I bought a ticket to your concert. I bought 2 tickets to your concert. I bought 7 tickets and ran 6 strangers in a minivan for the night. Again, everybody meant well, and I was really hoping that the money this raised could take a load off my parents' shoulders. But the intensity of all the attention was pretty high. I just couldn't wait to actually get up there and play the drums for all these people. That was the part I was living for, anyway. And if excessive amounts of rehearsal time were any indication of success, we were surely destined to go down in jazz history. There were practices 4 days a week for the last few weeks. In fact, if I had spent any more time with the van driver, who was bringing just about everyone she knew to the concert, I swear I would have started calling her mom. Plus, I was still taking lessons on Saturdays from Mr. Stoll, who was bringing 7 students to the concert, and practicing on my own, both at home and during my opportunity periods at school. And I was doing all my homework. My math teacher, who was planning to bring a small army of anal retentive calculator-carrying math teacher children to the concert, even commended me for my improved work habits. Speaking of improved work habits, I was also spending a ton of time reading. Mrs. Galley, 4 tickets, 1 booster ad, had called me down right before my trip to the hospital with Jeffrey. She said she just wanted to check in with me, but then she immediately pushed the candy dish my way. So I knew there was a heavy topic on the agenda. It turned out that she had ordered a book for me to read about childhood leukemia and its treatment. She thought it might help me to process my feelings. I thanked her, snatched up some candy hearts, and walked out with the book under my arm. At the time, my thought was, yeah, like I'm really in the mood to read a book about this when I'm living it 24/7 already. But after we got back from the hospital, I picked up the book again, because I truly did want to understand what was going on with my brother and with Samantha, too. It was about 600 pages long, but I was already halfway through. And somebody else had been reading it every night after I went to bed. My dad. I think reading it was helping both of us. It was like Mrs. Galley had said, I want to leave you with one thing to think about. Instead of agonizing about the things you can't change, why don't you try working on the things you can change? It's definitely signpost-wise, it's definitely again and again. It's an important theme that just keeps coming up. We couldn't change the fact that Jeffrey was sick, but we could make sure we knew what was going on. And if there was one thing I'd finally figured out, it was that your mind is something you can change. And so everyone was rallying around Jeffrey. Everything was going well. Jeffrey's next 3 hospital stays were uneventful, and his blood counts and liver functions tests were steady. Not great, but steady. Life was going about as well as could possibly be expected, right up until the day of the concert. So, obviously, more foreshadowing here. It's a great thing that we are reading the next chapter, or else you guys would probably be wondering if this is a cliffhanger, wondering what was going to happen at the concert. So it seems like the concert's going to be great. However, something's not going to be so great because they said life was going about as well as could possibly be expected up until the day of the concert. So next chapter is Rockstar, my very favorite chapter of the book. I might have said that about other ones, but this one is. It hits big time. It's such an awesome chapter and event that happens, and scary as well. But hopefully you guys are excited. I think you guys will like it a lot. So chapter 19, Rockstar, is next. See ya.